Hey everybody, it's Monday, which means it is time for the Troubleshooters. But first, some announcements. Thanks to D&D Beyond for the continued use of their wonderful tool. Don't forget, tomorrow, Morgan Canaan's presents the multiverse, Monsters of the Multiverse. I can't get the title right. I'll try that again. Tomorrow drops Morgan Canaan's presents Monsters of the Multiverse. I'll get it eventually. Anyways, that whole set drops tomorrow. That's the Xanathars, Pashas, and Monsters of the Multiverse as one box set. It looks really great. The alt covers for it are just very basic utilitarian white with splashes of color. It looks amazing. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll be picking it up as soon as I can. We have don't forget to pick that up. This coming, not this week, but next week. For those of you who aren't aware, this is the season finale for season 3 of the Troubleshooters. We have one more season to go because there are 4 seasons in a year, and although this has been going on for longer than a year, but whatever. But next week, or I should say the following week, I will be in Indiana, in Fort Wayne, running games for Winter Fantasy, which should premiere. I need to find out. The very first adventure I've ever written for them. I cannot tell you anything more than that. But I wrote an adventure that will be premiered at Winter Fantasy as part of the Adventurers League for their storylines. I will be running Wild Beyond the Witchlight, though. I will not be running my own game because I didn't know it was going to be a game that I wrote at the time that I submitted to run Wild Beyond Witchlight. Anyways, I am looking forward to it. There's a big caravan of us all going up there together, and so it should be a lot of fun. And we still have more shows this week. We have go back with Star Wars tomorrow. Otter, what's the official title for that game now? I forgot. Remnant Shadows. Remnant Shadow, which is the Star Wars game that is run by Jason. That's tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have False Calling Knights, and then we have Thursdays is A Knight's Ransom. And then I don't think we're back on Saturday yet, but Sundays we have Varenheim. If you're looking for something on Fridays, you should check out the game that our buddy Breck is running. It has Otter in it. And what's the name of that one? Domain of the Old Gods. It's over on Breck's channel, but if you join our Discord, he posts an announcement whenever it goes live so you guys can see it. So if you haven't joined our Discord, why? And then also you can check it out over there. It's a horror game, so if you're easily scared, maybe not for you. Anyways, my beautiful background of the Swiss Alps, and that's because last week they found out that there's a train running to Zurich, which is a direct line to go to Innsbruck from Zurich, Switzerland. The party's a bit confused why they would be moving their troops there, but it looks like that is where the rest of the directorate and the military force that is the directorate has been moved to is Innsbruck. For those of you who haven't been watching from the very beginning, Innsbruck is also the place where the great battle took place that initiated the end of the Great War with the Treaty of Innsbruck. So there is supposed to be magic does not work there, or it works usually. It doesn't work appropriately. So it should be an interesting thing to see. So as they catch a train, hopefully heading to Zurich, who knows what awaits them at the end of the line. But I don't have really any further announcements. We've got Winter Fantasy coming up. We've got in April, we've got the Huntsville Pop Culture and Comic Expo. And then in May, we have the RPG Con. So without further ado, let's start tonight's episode of The Troubleshooters. Welcome back. You can see that we are down a player. We have no cameras, but they are here with us for Otter, who is feeling better. We're glad to see that you're on the mend, good sir. And I know that Q has worked a lot lately, so they are still with us, even though they're not here on camera. And then we are delighted, as always, to have Voodoo with us as Gay. A train should be pulling into the station any moment now. You and your allies are holding up post, taking over the train station, waiting for this one to arrive. Over on the track, you can see a slow-moving vessel, German writing on the side, announcing the train line that it belongs to. It looks like a mix of a few passenger cars, but mostly like storage box cars. As it pulls in, it lets out a puff as the big diesel engines on the train slow it down, braking. The doors at the side of the car opened up, and you can see a few men mounted, jumping outside of the vessel. The engineer climbs down out of the engine car, and he starts making checks on it to make sure that it is all right. The few men that jumped out of the boxcars check on the passengers to make sure that they're okay. He gets a nod. You can see that everybody on the train is dressed in some form of uniform. They don't know you're here. The train station is still operating as it normally should. A lot of you blending in. Holm is wearing a long trench coat. He's wearing a fedora, the edges bowed down a bit on the sides. His familiar accordion case. Bruno stands next to him in a nice pair of breeches and suspenders, the jacket, actually it's his vest pulled over his shirt, the sleeves rolled up to reveal the trunk-like arms, the veins bulging at the edges of it. Not too far behind them, you see couple, quote unquote. You see the very familiar Philip and Annie standing there having a conversation. Everything seems to be operating normally. You count no more than 30 men, both in the passenger cars and jumping out of the boxcars. Eventually, you watch as one man stands from the passenger cars, walking down the lanes, exiting off of the staircase and stepping down, the gravel crunching under his boots as he strides towards the station itself. Small, stapled few pieces of paper together in his hands, the manifest, or what should be the manifest for this particular train. The station manager stands on the edge of the railway, looking out at the edge of the dock, looking out as the man approaches. He climbs a short set of stairs at one end and walks over to the station manager, who has his hands behind his back, wringing nervous. This would be an opportunity for you to capture a rep if you are prepared.
I was curious if we were going to grab somebody and, jump into their uniform, mayhaps.
That'd
We
be
can
all you.
flash back to an hour before the train got here. You can tell me what preparations you'd like to make before it arrives.
As long as I can find somebody with a uniform, I know I can more than likely get on that ship. That train.
Line ship, it's
Yes,
fine.
please refer to the image behind me where there is a train.
Oopsies.
The land ship.
Line ship.
The land ship. Yes, there you go. I mean, you do have Napier's uniform. You could take that one.
Mhm.
that would at least get us an opportunity to find a couple other individuals to commandeer uniforms from.
Which, I mean, you arrested and apprehended almost the entirety of the directorate's main office. I'm sure there is an armory, including maybe dressing chambers and things like that. So yes, the possibility of you all having uniforms is
Very
an
likely.
assured. Yeah, it's an assured thing. You
Well,
have uniforms if you'd like to use those.
Emrys can more suitably mirror Napier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the thing
And
is I don't think they wanted him here.
No, they were supposed to be the last of the group.
Oh, okay.
So like
Oh,
this would
okay,
be
that's
the
my
last of
misunderstanding
the.
from last time. Okay.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this would be the last of the troop movements that they're doing.
so, if you were to masquerade as them, we could simply be your guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So along with the people that we described, we see you masquerading as Napier with your entourage being the crew that you normally roll with. Correct?
Correct.
Excellent. All right. A quick conversation is had between the station manager, and he has a name. It's not a station manager, but you know what I mean. The station manager and the man in uniform. He motions to where you are seated at the railway station. The man in the uniform makes his way over to you. You can tell that he's not necessarily higher ranked than Napier, but he does seem to be in command of this particular excursion. As he gets to you, he snaps his heels together and gives you a salute.
Perfect. Okay.
Um, are all your preparations made? Are you ready to depart?
Yes, I believe so.
We should have a fair few troops left to where are they at?
I'm
We were
sorry,
told
where are we at?
there were at least 100 men left here that
Uh
were supposed to board the train as well.
yes. Some of them oh gosh, how do I put the term for it? Jumped ship?
Deserted. Deserted.
Deserted?
Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah.
Gone AWOL, if you will.
Gone AWOL, yes.
You're telling
I
me of 100 men, you have quickly looks at the few around you. All but these three have gone AWOL.
There's
no.
been quite a
Right.
stir in the city. Many of them didn't think you're coming back.
Mm.
Sorry, Q.
No, it's
You,
fine.
you
To
see
be
him
honest,
kind
I
of
was
look
surprised.
down. Napier was on the shorter side, so
Yeah.
you see him kind of like looking down at you.
Mm-hmm.
Full command, then I would assume. Oh, gather yourselves up into the train. We have a few supplies to gather before we leave. That shouldn't take very long. I've already sent those men out to gather those things. Make yourselves comfortable in the passenger cars.
Okay.
And he kind of like nods, snaps his heels, and turns once again to exit back to the train. All right. The train is wide open. It does not seem like anybody's paying any attention to you, as you guys can easily, mount onto the train. Doesn't look like there's going to be any scrutiny from anyone there.
Things don't feel like they should be this easy.
Well, we'll take it for now. We don't really know what we're walking into at the end of this ride.
you see a small contingent of men, about 10 of them, peel away. They are carrying like they're like rolling a big hand cart, a couple of big hand carts for like, loading boxes and crates on to be shipped back wherever they are. As they make their way out, you notice Colm nod to Annie and Philip, who peel off of the crowd and kind of follow those guys at a distance.
Good.
Bruno stands next to Colm and just sort of like keeps an eye out for anybody that might get close.
Had they not been in the crowd, that would have been my next step upon getting into the train,
What's that?
was reaching out to let them know they're trying to gather supplies in town, but they seem to already know
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yep, they seem to watch them peel off. It looks like Colm, regardless of what plan you might have, Colm looks like he was putting something into motion to begin with. It's probably the better part of an hour. You watch as the carts are wheeled back in. Sorry, distracted by something in my shirt. The carts are wheeled back in. You see that the men look a little different. The uniforms don't seem to fit them quite right. Some of them are a bit small, some of them are a bit large. Most of the men that left had a very military build and carry about themselves with fresh shaven faces. Here you see some that look like they've got, scruff on their face. They seem to walk with kind of like more of a swagger to their step and things like that. As they wheel back over to the cars to load the gear back in, one of the boxes, the lid of it shifts a little bit, and you see one of the men in the uniform. It's a little ill-fitting for him because he's a slighter build than the man who wore it. His face looks very familiar underneath the hat. You see Philip move the lid back over, and you kind of see him like, kind of do that. Carts are loaded back in. Bruno and Colm quietly make their way down, avoiding the eyes that are sitting in the cars that can see them, slipping between the trains out of your sight for a few moments. Eventually, they reemerge, but you only see them again for a few seconds before they disappear somewhere into the rear cars. It looks like your force has made it onto the trains. You yourselves enter the trains. You can see that the passenger cars are very nicely outfitted. The remainder of the troop that's not the troop, quote unquote, that wasn't back watching the manifest are here in the passenger cars. It has the normal affair, dining car. There are a few sleeping cars. There's like one or two sleeping cars, a dining car. Most of them are the conventional front, facing each other, seated, seats, so that you can sit down facing the person across from you. You hear the whistle blow, signaling that the engine is going to be starting up soon, and taxiing its way out to one of the switch tracks so that it can get off on the road, or on the rails, as the case should be. Anything you wish to look at, do, explore before the train gets underway?
I'm okay with taking my seat. I don't want to look too suspicious using somebody's
Yeah.
face.
Okay. So you try not to draw attention to yourself. Got it.
Yeah.
At least until we're on our way. I agree
So
with
the
that.
train is in motion. Once the train's in motion, all bets are off. It's wet pants for everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Taking the conductor hostage, blowing up the rest of the train. It's fine.
You can't see it, but I have a duffel bag just full of pants.
Just full of pants and
I have
The entire
great water.
canteens
party
of water.
takes the next half hour just soaking pants, preparing for the train.
Like, it looks like the scene from the movie where they're making Molotov cocktails. They're soaking it in like gas and fuel and stuff, but it's just you guys soaking it in just regular water.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You gonna light something on fire? What? No, that's weird. These are pants and water. All right, the train gets off on its way. The trip is uneventful. Um, you catch the large ferrying. So you catch the train all the way to the coast of Dover, and there you can see these large pylons set into the ground that lead over to France. It's like 25 miles across at this point in time. The train enters this, you know, it's just, it's really at this point in time, it's just a masterfully constructed bridge that gaps the English Channel. Um, the train rocks and sways as one does on these old tracks, and then eventually you see the, Bienvenue à la France, all the welcome signs that let you know you're on your way. Unless there's anything that anybody wants to do, the trip is uneventful, boring even. As you're riding along, it rocks you to sleep. The food is, well, pretty good. There doesn't really seem to be much going on. No one asks you anything. They don't seem to even give you much attention in regards to, like, who are you, what division are you with, or anything else like that. They just sort of kind of let everybody be.
I would like to do something.
Yes, what is that?
I have heard whispers in my mind since we overtook the directorate. And I would like to try and follow their instructions to bond with even the odds.
Yes. You sit down, take your famed handgun out from its holster. You lay it across your lap in your open palms, holding it. You close your eyes, manifesting that space in the void. As you do, you sink further and further. The void and that vastness envelops you like a blanket, almost threatening to smother you unless you yield to it, which you do. Your mind connects to something that is horrifying and unknowable, but at the same time familiar and understandable. 100 eyes open in the blank distance, one large central one, and many others in the distance. What does my vessel request of me?
I've heard faint whispers over the last few days of a way to be armed without being armed under your tutelage.
Now you wish to work with me? Understand a bit of the many facets of what I am. Now you wish to understand my abilities? Is this correct?
Our previous conversation, it was not up to me to decide what to do with my father's health. That was his battle to fight. But yes, I would like to know more.
I do not hold your father's decision against you. I understand the willingness of men and the unwillingness of mortals. What do you call this thing? And even though there's not a hand that motions, You get the sense that it is speaking about the weapon possession.
I will hold up my pistol. This is known to me as even the odds. Fitting, I believe.
I appreciate the mirth within the name. It shall be a part of you. It will not be a painless process, but it shall never be ripped from you. So long as you and I understand your needs. Do you comply?
I do. Does this
Faint
bond...
glimmer in.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'll say, does this bond extend only to the pistol?
It will extend to that weapon, as you call it. A piece of the void seems to tear itself apart. It floats to you, amorphous. It's slick to the touch, oily, yet firm and tangible. It's no bigger than a tennis ball. This is my form, my essence. From it, your weapon may be drawn, may be called, may be made manifest. This is the bond that you have. Do you understand?
I reach out and grab the tennis ball.
It squeezes in your hand and it seems to articulate itself to your hand. And then as it does, you feel it kind of like force its way into your pores, into the very skin. It seeps in there, it burns and stings, and it feels ice cold all at the same. You want to pull your hand away, but you can't pull your hand away from a thing that is pushing itself into it. You tear at the skin for a moment, but as quickly as that came, it dissipates. You are in the void. The thousand eyes, the hundreds of eyes that were there, close one at a time, starting with the smallest, until only the central eye is left. Your time, the world that you are in, know that it is limited.
Know that it is what?
Decision
Sorry, one more. You cut out there.
limited.
Okay.
Limited. All of you operate on borrowed time. Decisions have been made and things have been set into motion. They can be accelerated or slowed. Choose. Be careful with where you step. The eyes, the last eye, the central one closes. You feel yourself like a certain hand pushing you back into the train. Your eyes snap open. Your gun is not on your lap.
I guess I should have asked this before diving in. Is anyone else of the party around? Did I just do this in front of everybody?
You were sitting on the booth in the chair next to them, right
Cool.
there. Anybody watching? He just looks like he went into like a trance state, like he was just meditating. Um, and it's one of those tricks of the mind. You don't know when, but something slightly there, like something. It's like looking at one of those spot the differences puzzles. You know, you get the two pictures side by side. You found all but one, and no matter how hard you look, you can't figure out what it is that was different from that one moment to the next. And no matter how much you try to grasp on it, at the last second, when you think you've got it figured out, it slithers away out of your mind like a fast moving bug. It scuttles, makes you shiver down your spine. You don't know what it is, it's different. You don't think it's his personality, it's something physical that was different about him. But it's one of those things where as soon as you think you've got it, it flitters away in the wind and you can't catch it again. To the point where you eventually start to ask, what were you looking for in the first place? Moonin, even the odds is not sitting on your lap anymore, but you can feel the weight and presence of it. Do you understand what I mean?
I do.
Okay. The train ride through the Alps brings you to the bustling city of Zurich. Zurich? Zurich. As you approach, you can see that the station is equipped with large turnstiles that will take the engine and decouple it and then turn it so that it can be pointed back in the other direction. You see several others of these. You see smaller, what looks to be like an engine wrapped in metal, usually used for towing cars here and there on the station, but not necessarily, excuse me, but not made for long distances. They're just used for hooking up and quickly towing things around. As you're there, you see that several of these are mounted. One of these, the engine is decoupled and slid to the turnstile where it's turned and then pointed into um, a giant stall where it can be worked on. The cars are decoupled, the passenger cars from the cargo cars, and they're towed to other tracks. All of this in the looming shadows miles away, the Alps, mountains cresting over high. Eventually, you guys are reconnected. The passenger cars hit heavy against the other cargo vehicles that's there. The thing that worries you is that you don't know where Annie, Philip, Holm, Bruno, you don't know if they're still connected to you or if they're on different cars. All you know is that you're in the passenger vehicles.
Is there anyone else around us? Or are we...
There are the other members that were in the vehicle in this train car to begin with. So like no one's debarked. Everybody that was in here is still here. There's a bit of laughter and you hear them talking. What languages do we have in this car? I know we've got Norwegian and French. Everybody speaks English.
German and I know sign.
German.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
German, French, Gaelic. Yeah.
You're all the languages.
Moonin's just happy to be here.
In German, you hear some voices as the doors to the cars are swung open. In German, you hear, "Do you actually believe they thought that we would fall for this? like we didn't have eyes and ears everywhere. Quickly spread out and finds him, and you see one of the men that got out back in England and back in London and made his way up to the station. He stands up and approaches the four men that just approached and got on. They quickly exchange words in German, and you hear, "Do we have Taylorism over here? Do you know where they are?" The man in the front kind of shrugs and nods and says back to them, "Yeah, one of them, or three of them are here. The fourth one, we're not sure. We think that there's something going on with him. Well, we should ask them personally." And you watch as the one that he nods and guides you all, or guides the rest of them to where you're seated. The one that seems to be in charge snaps to and salutes all of you. Welcome. We've wondering if you would catch the last train to London. Looks like you have. We're happy to have you. On behalf of the directors and the German unit, we would like to welcome you to Zurich. Our next stop will be Innsbruck. We do not wish you harm. We wish you to be comfortable. Just to let you know that we know you're here. Don't try anything. Otherwise, you will be shot and thrown off of a bridge. Do we have your understanding and compliance? Great. Surrender your weapons, so that way we make sure that nothing happens to all of you. Please comply. And you hear a very telltale sign of slide bolts being jacked into place as guns are leveled at you. Please, we don't want to mess up this nice passenger car and have someone who cleans blood off the walls. So,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
would be a right shame.
it would be indeed. So, we have your compliance, and you will turn over your weapons and not create a scene, correct?
Behind him a mace and a pistol.
They take it from you, and he actually hands it to one of them, who writes something quickly on a ticket and then tears it and hands you that ticket. In case you survive and perhaps you want to claim your weapons again, make sure that they are available for you. They're not savages after all. Unlike, what I've heard tale of you people.
And where can we claim our weapons upon arrival?
This whole ordeal is settled. I'm sure that someone will point you in the right direction. In the meantime, you have a few weapons on you, if I'm not mistaken.
I will unbuckle the holster and hand them the two pistols.
Okay. Yeah, what's up?
I need to try to hide my spear.
You got a keister that thing? It's a spear. It's as tall as I am. Hang on, I just gotta.
I'm just like, oh,
Nothing
magic.
This
but
hand,
right
look at this
along
hand,
so
now it's
rigidly.
gone.
I believe in good posture. I don't think
I'm-
that's some sleight of hand. You can sleight of hand that, but it's gonna be a roll for the ages.
You boys not good at stealth. But you said we heard them
Sleight of
coming
hand.
down, right?
I mean, you knew they were coming.
Could I have tried to shove it in a corner to blend in with the
Like I
lid?
said, I'll let you do some sleight of hand to try to maneuver it out of view.
Is there a way I can help? Because I kind of heard it coming.
Yeah, I'll let you give the help action, so you'll have advantage on the roll.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I was like, I have a +7 and a +11. Please let me help with either stealth or sleight of.
Which one do you want? Sleight of hand or
A
stealth?
sleight of hand.
Okay. It is a 15 plus 2.
So 17. You kind of like drop it to the ground and like try to roll it and slide it underneath the seat and then like push it up against the edge. Um, he looks around for it and you watch as one of the others that was in the car the whole time with you walks over and says in German, "I believe that they have dropped a weapon on the ground. You might want to make sure it's confiscated as well." The one that was like talking to you the whole time looks at you and he puts his hands on his hips and like cocks his head to the side. Really? Is this what we're going to do?
I've got
Come
a
now.
bum leg from the war. Had quite a few injuries. I use it mostly for walking. I'm a
Sure.
spellcaster.
Ah, even better to know.
Mm.
We'll get you a crutch so that way you have something to lean upon or a nice cane. But also in the meantime, will you please hold your hands out for me, please? As soon as you do, two of them quickly move in and they put basically what look like giant mitts over your hand and cinch them closed, tying off your hands.
They don't understand that now it's clobber in time.
Now
Who
we're
just
gonna
gave him
shoot
boxing gloves? He's ready to go.
you.
Metal box
I've got
glove.
boxing axe, motherfuckers.
This is the
This is
plan
their
all
mistake to
along.
make. This was their mistake to make.
Falling in the
You've been falling for my trap card.
They are going to confiscate the spear.
I'm gonna kick their
Unfortunately.
asses.
You hand them the holster that had your guns.
I do.
Okay. And they take those and mark them away. What about your axe?
The axe would be tucked away in the back of my coat. I am going to try and not have that be seen because I haven't touched it this entire trip.
Sleight of hand. No, actually, hold on to that. It might come up in a minute. In the meantime,
Okay.
they turn to look at the rest of you. Is something that you wish to turn over to us? They talk to Liz, confiscate her weapons. Uh, she does not mention that she is a spellcaster, so they do not bag her hands.
Tag him
She
and
just
tag him, boys.
she just doesn't have boxing gloves now.
That's her misfortune. Who doesn't want a nice pair of boxing gloves? These things are weighted.
Oh,
With that, they return back and say, "Well, enjoy the rest of the trip. I'm sure that it will be lovely. Innsbruck is quite nice this time of year. Oh, and remember, no funny business, or we will summarily shoot you." And with that, he snaps, salutes you one more time, and exits the car. Um, he does not take Napier's weapons, assuming that Napier was a prisoner. He does turn as he gets to the door. He turns and says, "Ah, Napier,
Yes.
you were perfect, Patsy. The nearest bridge, throw him off the train." "Yeah, good." And with that, he exits the vehicle. The guns retreat to where they're at the front of the car. The rear of the car opens, and you hear the sound of several more people tromping onto it. And you see that there are men at the front and the rear, all of them holding guns.
Can I
That's a good
try
thing
for
I don't.
divine intervention?
What's that?
Can I try for divine intervention?
You
Oh
absolutely
my
can.
god.
Oh,
Come on,
gosh.
baby. Come on.
Where's the other one? Hello, come here. Thank you.
10%. Come on.
66. Mars just up there like, ha, you're stupid. Fix it yourself.
One more time.
Sorry?
Try it one more time.
That's a D8. Closer, but no dice. It's a 31.
Okay. Um. There is no response, unfortunately. However, there is a bit of a noise in the head of Nikki, or should I say, in the head of our good friend Emrys.
Hmm.
All it says is, well, this looks like a pickle.
You're not wrong.
Would you like some help with all of this? It would. A meager thing that I could help you with. I mean, they are going to throw you off of the bridge, after all. And I don't think they intend to shoot you first. I think they intend to just throw you bodily off of it.
Oh, you're coming to my rescue.
I mean, yes, but there is a cost, of course.
Care to share?
Yes. You're complete and utter fealty to me.
Did I not give you that already whenever I first spoke with you?
No, that's fair. How about you let me drive for a little bit?
Mm.
Oh, come on. Those shape-changing abilities of yours are rather useful and fun. Can you become a horse? I'm
No,
asking for a Norse friend of mine.
definitely not.
No. Okay. Well, you never hurts to ask. I'll just have to tell him no. Not that that's ever stopped him before. Anyways, beside the point. Do we want them all dead? Or do we just want you out of this predicament? Also, if your friends are going to come, well, it's going to cost you extra. So, what do you say?
Can I know your plan first?
Certainly. I'm going to free you, free your friend beside you with the new mittens on.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fully unbecoming. And either A, set the entire car on fire, or B, just burn everything else in this room to cinders. I'll protect your friends.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Oh, please do. But in that, you surrender to me in my realm for 1 year. Once all this Mythigosh is done. What do you say?
1 year in your realm. Don't I get stuck there at the end of everything?
Oh, I mean, at the end of everything, as in like when you're dead.
Yes.
But it would behoove me to let you die. Here, I want to save you, and I'm just going to take a year and a little. What's a year? Look at your friends. Look how sad they are. Looks like a kitten who's been scratching at himself too much. They put those cute gloves on.
I don't think that's sadness. I think that's more anger than anything.
Moonin looks
Oh, no.
pissed.
Yeah, they look very angry. So what do you say? Unless you have a counter offer.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you have some plan that you can put into action to rescue yourself, like wrapping a wet pair of pants around somebody, or just standing in the middle of the room and muttering to yourself incoherently while you pee yourself. That one always works.
That's not a particularly. That's not something I've done in the past, but thank you for
Yeah.
putting that into my head.
I mean, you could try it.
No, I think I'll pass.
Um,
I mean, I do still have one item from you. If you're just going to set everything on fire, I'm sure that one wand
mhm.
you gave me can do just as good.
Oh, yes. That would be
Or
quite effective.
Mhm.
You have everything under hand, or well in hand, as the train is now moving at a pretty brisk pace
Yeah.
down the roadway, down the railway.
A year in your realm, what does that entail? Quick.
So, anything that I desire, and images flash in your head to make you both blush and to make the color run from your face.
It's like a blush and a grimace, like, oh no.
Yeah, all in the same, like all in the same motion.
Oh, honey, you don't know you chose like someone who's really not into that. Uh-oh. Um, hmm. Ah, fuck. Give us 10 minutes to try and deal with it on our own. If it doesn't work out, I'll make that deal.
You do know that there's a train coming soon. Ta-da! And the voice pulls back from your mind.
Mm-hmm. Just like a fucking whole body shiver. God.
Why did I have to get him?
How
Ooh,
many
all right.
people are in this cart with us?
8, 12.
Like specifically in the room where that we're in.
12. The 4 on each end have taken up position 2 to a seat on either side of the aisle, and they've got their guns resting on the back of the seat looking your direction. So you're a crossfire. The other 4 are 2 at one end and 2 at the other end. So you've got they're like the 4 that are got you at gunpoint. They're not like at the very end of the car. They're kind of like a few seats in. So you got a total of 8, 12 people in here, not including yourselves.
How many did you say had guns?
Well, 8 that you know of, 4 on each end.
The people in here, they're not civilians?
Everybody in here is wearing a uniform.
Fantastic. So,
How do these lock on?
How to what lock on? The gloves, they're not locked together. Your hands are separate, but the mitts are pushed down and then tied, like cinched close, and then tied around through these little knots, and then they're tied at the end. So they're like cinched through eye holes that pull tight, and then there's two metal tabs that have holes in them. They're pushed back through there and then tied again. So it's like knotted through those. Makes it hard to like snip off.
Um,
are they something that I could deal with?
I mean, you absolutely could if you want to give me a sleight of hand to see if you can unfasten them.
Yeah. I just like quickly move in front of Gej and I'm like, okay, hands up.
All right, I wouldn't put your hands up.
Well,
No.
like wrists up, like metal facing towards
Okay.
me, like just your
Yeah.
hands in front of you so I can stand
All
in
right.
front.
Sleight of hand. Please.
Uh, 23, 16 plus 7.
You deftly maneuver a muscle for rank. No, you definitely undo the knots in the cords, and they're loosened. They're not off, but they're loosened up enough where you can slide them off now.
Perfect. You think if they wanted to deal with a magic user that they would have handled this a little bit more securely.
The thing about that is that the gloves fit on, and you can move your hands, but there's like something. It feels like almost like viscous. Like you put your hand inside of a bag that's got like Vaseline or something on the inside of it.
Just full of
Oh.
molasses.
Yeah, just
Oh,
a
that's so
slurp there. You pull
gross.
your hands up.
I don't like that.
What? No, what it is? What it is that the spell. There's a spell cast on the inner ring for reduce. So as you slide your hands out, your hands are reduced.
I get
Baby,
big hands.
Tiny hands.
You about to catch these tiny hands,
You
fellas.
had to catch these tiny hands.
Oh boy. Okay, so now that
All your rings fall off.
Aw.
oh no.
Wait, would the rings shrink too if they're going through reduce?
Actually, yeah, you're right. They would be. Everything would be going.
Big hands. Sorry.
These little hands are rated E for everyone.
There's a TikToker, I think I see her on YouTube Shorts. Call Me Chris is her name.
Yes, I
And
know.
she
Yeah.
plays this scenario when she plays the kid. She has those little tiny hands.
Tiny hands, yes.
Okay. So now that Emmerich has so graciously freed me from my bonds, can I actually Gej wears his long coat. I would like to leave his mitts there, but slip his hands
Your
out so
hands
he can
out.
cast in his sleeves.
Yeah, you can do that,
Cool.
but they're still covered by the.
Fine.
I mean, they're in your sleeves now, right? Okay.
So are we doing just a stand? Because I'm not gonna let you get thrown off a bridge. Quietly, but Are we fighting? Or are we just riding it?
Well, we may or may not have 10 minutes, and then our old buddy Richard may deal with it, and
Okay.
that's a situation all on its own. I will say.
Right. So we fight then, right?
To the best of our ability.
Cool. Cap, I'm going to cast Guardians of Faith that is verbal only. I'm going to cast it in a area where there are at least 3 of the
What's the area and the range?
range is 30 feet. It is a large 10 feet of the Guardian.
10-foot radius. That's a 20-foot diameter.
Any hostile creature that moves to a space within 10 feet of the Guardian for the first time on a turn must succeed on a dex saving throw or take 20 radiant damage on a failed save, half on a successful one.
Okay, so cool thing about this is these, for fighting purposes, are 25 feet across. You've got 10 feet of seat, 5 foot of aisle, 10 feet of seat. So you can fit 2 people on a seat. The aisle will hold a person, 2 people on the seat. So if you put the guardian in the middle, it's gonna hit all 4 of them.
You can only hit up to 3 because since it does well,
Well, you get what I'm
technically,
saying though.
yeah. It can do up to 60 damage before it disappears.
Okay.
So he's just
But
trying to
what
put
I'm
it.
saying is that you can say you can hit all three of them if you want to disperse the damage between the four of them in a particular manner. All right. It immediately appears. Boom, as you finish casting. Roll for initiative, everybody.
Oh boy.
Big fucking initiative. I don't feel like I need to go first if that happens. Sorry.
Come on, baby. Big initiative. 27. 18 plus 9.
All right.
I have 18 plus 8.
Well, hey, you're not going first.
Thank fucking God.
15.
All right. What was yours? Was what again, guys?
15.
15. Emrys?
28. It was 18 plus 8.
Jesus Christ. 26.
Isn't
Yeah.
that 26?
I
Yeah.
took. It's because I have. What is that alert? No. It's something.
Yeah. What did you have, Minnie?
18 plus 9. 27.
It is alert.
You literally edged it out by 1 point there. Okay.
I don't know what I'm gonna fucking do either, Everest. Fucking
Well, I mean,
crazy.
you can shoot first and ask questions later. I can't shoot first. I don't have a gun.
My guns are gone.
Yeah. I didn't think this far ahead.
Too late now.
And now this radiant thing just appeared in the hallway, and now we're all in stuff. Ah, okay. Yeah.
In 1 second.
This is just where we die. I get it.
No, it's fine. We're good.
Clarification question for Cap.
Yep.
The directions our weapons went. How many people are at that side of the cart?
Your weapons went off the cart.
They went off.
Yes. The guy that took your weapons, he left. He is no longer on the car.
Okay. Which direction did he go?
Towards the front of the car.
How many people are stationed there?
4. Well, 6 total.
Lovely.
All right. Give me 1 second here. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it an action to take something from my bag? Or like,
You have 3 item interactions, so it is not an action to take it.
it is an action though to hand something to someone, yeah?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you have in mind?
I know what I'm gonna do.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'm looking for something. Where is that? Dagnabbit. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay. First up is gonna be our friend Moonin. All right, Moonin.
Lovely.
You have 4 on one end and 4 on the other.
I'm going to look to Gej using inside voice. Go, I have a weapon for you. Hold out your hand. And then I'm going to cast invisibility and blink out of existence.
Just done.
I'm going to reach behind me, grab the axe,
Mhm.
and place it in Gej's hand.
Nice.
With my other hand, I'm going to retrieve the... Make sure I'm using the proper term here. The cask of gunpowder.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay.
And I'm going to start making my way out of my seat towards the fellas in the front of the cart. Moonin's pissed. Yo, I'm mad.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Okay.
You don't touch mama's guns.
No shit. All right. Emrys, your turn.
Uh, I know we were on a passenger cart. What were the carts
Mhm.
behind us?
There's a dining car behind you, and then a
Okay.
sleeping car, and then storage or box cars.
And as far as I would be aware, remembering where the rest of our, like, where Coleman, Annie, and everyone are, they would probably be back in the storage cars, I'm going to
That's
guess.
correct. But remember, back at the station in Zurich, they were decoupled, so you don't know if the storage cars that are there are still your friends or something else.
Very true. I just don't want to suddenly cut off the carts with something.
Okay.
No, because I'm just thinking if I do something towards the back carts and in the end it causes enough damage that's going to like sever the current cart we're in with the carts behind us, then we're leaving some people behind. Um hmm. Uh will it cause that much damage? Ugh, I don't know. You know what?
Mhm.
Let's do it anyway. You know, I have it. I think I've used it once. Let's just do the fireball wand.
Oh,
So,
I didn't ask how big the ring was. I said that's fireball one.
I'm so sorry. You're a little gargly.
No, that's because I just realized the question that nobody asked me was, "Hey, Cat, how far away is everyone?" So,
Yeah.
you need deck saves from everybody.
Oh shit, that's true. Fuck. Wait, what's the?
You need deck saves from your friends. And are you casting it at the front end or the rear end?
I was gonna go to the rear end.
Okay. Gej, where did you
So
put your
sorry.
guardian? Front or rear?
Would it be? It comes from the wand, but does it come in an arch, or would most of the damage be pointed towards the back because of the way that I am facing?
It is fireball. It is a radius, regardless of.
Okay.
Little
I was
bead.
gonna try and focus the
Technically,
more towards the back.
it's a ball
Yeah,
because it has those Z axis in there as well.
it's 20 feet.
It's a 20-foot radius.
Yeah.
Remember, the diameter is figured by pi r squared, or actually the diameter. That's not. This is circumference.
So I
The
guess if
diameter is 2 times your radius. So if your radius is 20 feet, your
could I focus
diameter,
it
the
behind
complete
them a little
distance,
bit?
40. If you want to put it at the back door of this thing,
Yeah.
you're looking at a part that is 30 feet. You were in the middle. If you put it there,
Be about 10 feet.
yeah, you got about 10 feet of movement from it. Yeah, I'll let that happen. But you're talking about blowing out the back end of this car too.
Yeah.
I'd say Moonin is up by the people in the front of the cart already because they use their
Alright.
entire movement up there.
Cool. Gej, did you put your guardian at the front or the rear?
Probably, honestly, at the back because he would expect more people to come from the front, so they'd have to go through the people that are already there. So his idea would be to get rid of them and then get rid of the people. So honestly, probably at the back.
No problem. So rear of the car, and that's where the fireball is going. You need deck saves from all of my guys.
Mhm.
Give me just one.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. That's brilliant. I love fire, man.
No, you do. Listen, I'm just trying to get into Gej's heart. That's what this is.
Look, it ain't hard.
I have a comment. I'm gonna stop myself from saying it.
Don't stop. Don't stop, Q.
No, like,
Don't be a chicken.
At least not for Emrys. It's not hard. He got a soft spot already.
oh,
Make the words, Q.
no.
Come on.
Okay, just so you
Tut.
know, Gej, they go just before you. Okay.
Okay. If they survive the fireball, they'll need to make a deck
That
save.
is. Well, that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna see if they survive. So this is what their deck save is. What's my DC on the
16.
wand?
Oh, my bad.
16
Wait, no.
on the wand.
Sorry,
I think the wand is a flat 15.
I believe so. Let me double check.
All right. You need 6 saves from me. That's 1 failure, 2 failures, 1 success.
Yeah, DC 15. Sorry.
Let's go. 2 failures, 1 success, 3 failures. Oh, 2 successes, 1 more, and that's a failure.
I did totally
Out of-
miss this in chat, and I apologize. We have received a party boon.
Oh, potty boon!
Thank
Hang on a
you.
second.
I was panicking at the situation and wasn't looking at my counter over here.
We've got this, guys. It's fine.
Potty boon. You all have. What do I want to give you this time around? You all have 10 temp HP.
I'll take it. Thank you, Zara, for the party boon.
Gave myself 0. Oops.
Give me your damage, please.
Okay. So, okay. The 6, 10, 18, 21.
21 points of damage. Okay. That.
Is your hand axe a D4, by the way, Moon?
That is. It's similar to what was it? The Javelin of Lightning, but it's an axe.
Mhm.
So it's a D6.
6. Mm-hmm.
D6 strength modifier. And you can speak a command word and throw it for a DC 13 thunderbolt, pretty much, lightning bolt for 46 damage. I got you, Gesh. I will just send you the sheet.
You are a saint.
Okay. Yep. Calculated all the damage, and all these boys are hurt. Let me move that to the rear ones, not the front ones. Okay. Anything else you want to do on your turn, you absolute monster?
No, that's all.
Okay.
Probably
Great.
try and move
Boom.
myself in a position that doesn't get me shot at straight away, even though
Ducking down behind the seat that you're in is about it.
perfect. I'll take it. Baby
Okay.
AC's where it's at.
You need the ones in the rear. You have 3 of them that need to make saves against the Guardian, right?
Or if one of them fails. Or however many there are around. It depends on how many fail.
Well, I mean, what's my save and what's my DC?
Dexterity and the save DC is 16.
1 failed. No, wait. I'm sorry. Succeed. 1 succeed. 2 succeed. 3 succeeded.
Okay, if there are any more in its area, I
Mhm.
need saves from them as well then. Because it can only
Okay.
do 70 damage before it disappears.
1 failure. 2 failures.
You're done.
Okay.
Okay. So
So 2 fails.
the 3 that succeeded will take 10 damage.
Uh-huh.
One of the ones that failed will take 20 damage. And the last one that failed will take 10 damage because that's all the damage it has left to do.
Okay.
And it's radiant if that matters.
How much did the one that failed do? 20?
Only one of the failed ones is 20.
Okay. Got you. All right. Allocated out properly. Okay. Their turn. They look hurt, but they are still up. So we're going to do some volley fire at people. They are doing volley fire. So it's going to be 2 attacks. But they are wildly inaccurate. And you guys are ducked behind the seats, correct?
I am at least, yes.
All right. So that's going to be a plus that to try to hit you. That's a 10, so that misses. That misses. That misses. The nat 20. So 2, 4, 6. That one's going to be at Gej. I cannot see Moonin to shoot him. So Gej.
I accept my
Sorry,
fate.
buddy. This is going to hurt.
Okay. Fine.
17 points. I'm sorry. 21 points of damage.
So I take 11.
Temp HP.
Wait, what?
Temp
Oh,
HP.
that's right. Temp HP. My brain forgot about the temp HP.
Yeah, no, I'm not cheating it, I promise.
No, I know you're not.
69. Nice.
Miss. So 2, 2, 2, 2. That's it for the back that were like smoldering. The ones up front are not doing volley fire, so they're doing aimed shots, which basically just means they don't get a -10 to their attack. 16 to hit. Gage, you are half cover, which gives them or gives you a +2.
I see he's 20 right now.
So
With the
that
half
misses.
cover.
All right, so that one misses. All right, so that's one. That misses. That's a nat 20. That's going toward Emrys, though. That's 22 points of damage to Emrys.
Oh, I'm one off
Last.
9. We were almost buddies.
And the last one, Emrys, that's 9 plus 6, 17 with your armor class right now.
Yeah, no. My
I'm sorry. I
Sorry?
can't do math. It's 15. 15. Sorry.
Do I get anything for half cover? I completely forgot.
You get +2. +2 to your armor
Okay.
class for half cover.
No, that misses.
Okay. Does it
Oh,
just
that's a
miss?
first. Shit.
The seats in front of you are shot to pieces. But it looks like you survived. The other two at the front and the back seem to take cover for a minute. All right. That being said, that was the Gej. It's your turn. Almost it was the bottom of the round. Just went Gej.
I'm going to cast Spirit Guardian. And um 3 wolves. Yeah.
Okay.
Appear
I
around
need
me.
you, as you cast this, I need you to roll a percentile die, please.
I don't like that. 72.
Okay. Guardian Spirit? Spirit Guardian.
Spirit Guardians, and I've cast it as a level 5.
Okay. Okay. Yep. All right. It goes off without any issues. Rear, or it's actually just around you, right? If they come within your
15
range.
feet.
15 feet of you.
They
Okay.
they're within they're centered on me, and they flit around 15 feet near me. And Gej is going to the back. He's going to take a move to go to the back.
So you cast it, and these wolves are bounding through and over the seats as you start striding towards the rear of the vehicle.
And I'm picking out one of the people that is hiding, and I'm going to use one of the things I get as a war priest, and that's to get a bonus attack in a round.
It is.
Wait, it's an
think-
attack option, so that never mind.
Yeah, you have to take an attack action to get that.
My bad.
Okay, that's all right.
They just got a mad Gej towering over them.
Well, the wolves do their thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, what do you need from me as far as the wolves, or are they attack rolls?
Sorry, my eyes are screwing with me super hardcore.
Okay. I've got Spirit Guardians pulled up here. It is a Wisdom save on their half, and they take radiant damage if they fail.
5d8 if they fail.
Yes. So is that all of them within that area?
3 of them.
Okay.
I think.
I think Spirit Guardians is anyone in the circle.
You're correct.
When the creature enters, yep.
And their speed is also halved in the area.
Yep. Shoot! Shoot! All right.
Let's see.
So you need wisdom saving throws from me. Got
However
you.
many there are.
That's going to be all 4 of the ones in front. Did you move your full movement to them?
Yes.
I think that's going to be all 6 of them. All right. Number 1. I cannot roll to save my life. That's an 11. That's a fail. Number 2. That's a 15. That's a fail. Your DC is 16. Number 3 succeeds with a 20. Number 4 fails with a nat 1. Number 5 fails. And number 6 succeeds with a 17. So 2 successes, 4 failures.
So the 4 failures are going to take math. It's hard. 11 plus 18 damage, and then the ones that succeeded are going to take 9.
18 damage.
7, 6, and 5. Wait. I didn't roll the other 2.
7,
Sorry.
6 is 13. That's 18. Yeah, give me more.
18, 25, 29.
Okay, hang on. 29.
29 for those that failed.
As one of the wolves bounds over and completely engulfs one of the guys, he screams in pain and falls to the ground dead. As does his ally next to him. He said, so 29 halved, what do we say is 15?
14.
Yeah. He does not fall over dead, nor does he, but they are not, not loving it. And the 2 guys in the rear are both dead. So that's all of those guys. Okay. The rear of the vessel is mostly cleared out now. But it is anything else that you want to do with your turn there, you crazed person you?
I can just give them the mean mug them, and maybe
mean
they'll
mugging them. You know, like give up now, and we'll let you die quickly off of a bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, we are back at the top of the round. Moonin, the 6 of them in the front of the car are terrified looking at you now.
Good. I'm going to look back to Emrys. Using my inside voice, go, I have a present for you. Aim for the floor. And I'm going to put the gunpowder barrel on the floor and kick it into the group in the front of the cart.
Okay. So you put it on the floor and you just kind of kick it, and it just rolls. And
suddenly
rolls
appearing
out of the ether. This barrel of gunpowder comes rolling down the center of this car. All of a sudden, they're doing that thing where they're kind of looking at it as it gets closer and closer, and they're like confused, and they're like looking at it. Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
Did that take my action?
Free item interaction, putting on the ground, kicking them. I'm going to say no. It does not take your action.
I would like to use my action to summon my pistol.
Ooh.
He's still
all right.
invisible?
See you now.
I am
He is
very
still invisible.
invisible. I have not attacked or
Because
interacted.
He hasn't done anything to drop the invisibility.
And I am going to haul ass towards the back
other
of
end of
the
the car.
And that is Moonin's turn.
Yep. Because the only thing that would kick him out of the invisibility is him attacking or casting a spell. Summoning his weapon isn't an attack, and nor is nudging a barrel of a powder keg towards the other end of the car. You're gonna decouple this train. I'm just determined.
All I'm
Anyway,
picturing is this poor asshole who took our weapons getting like 30 feet outside of the train and just hearing goosh, goosh.
Oh no, you don't understand. You guys have been moving. You're in transit right now.
Oh yeah, we're rocking the boat.
Yeah, this it's been rocking. Like the rest of the cars are like, the hell was that? All right. With that being said, Emrys, it is your turn. There is now, you can see a powder keg roll into existence as an inside voice is ever present for you. Aim low.
Yeah, just out loud. We're gonna talk about this inside voice thing because I got enough voices in my head. I don't need another one.
Oh yeah, this is the first
Your
time
permission
I've done.
is revoked.
This is the first time I've done that to Emrys.
This is a do not enter zone for you specifically, please.
I can't hear you back. I'm sorry.
I'm saying it out loud, like into the fucking
Emrys is
like.
out loud. Like, we gotta talk about this.
Yeah, that's not
Turn it off.
happening. This is a do not enter zone. This is my private space, and unfortunately, one others. But you know,
Get out of my head, Ronan.
Stop it.
I swear to God, I'll stab you if you do it again. I'm not
With that
joking.
being said,
You
We're gonna
gotta find
fireball
me.
at the keg.
You gotta find me first.
fireball the keg.
Towards the front. Yeah.
Remember, fireballs are not addressed to any singular. It is to who it may concern.
Bang,
An
bang
arrow
into
has
the
a neck on
room.
it. Fireball is addressed to whom it may concern. Bang, bang into the room. Inspiration. All right.
Honestly, if
Count
we
'em
weren't
down
in
for
like a
me.
moving cart, it'd be like one of those like cool guys don't look at explosions. I feel like I'm in like the Great Wizarding War. I'm just like sitting in the cubby and like I point my wand one way, I point my wand the other.
You know,
I'm the
I
new
feel
Harry
like
Potter.
that's what Moonin's doing right now, running from the explosion.
I would like to point out gunpowder
Hmm.
is listed in the explosives in the DM's workshop in the Dungeon Master's and in the Dungeon Master's guide.
Oh, I know.
A keg of powder does 7d6.
I've got 8d6 in my hand for fireball. You want me to roll another?
Nope. I want you to roll d6.
You want me to roll my fireball?
Yes, roll your fireball because I mean you said I cast fireball.
I
Okay.
do. Hi.
We're still gonna hit all of them.
This one's a much better one than last round.
All right, so hang on a second. I need to figure out who made the save and who didn't. I've got 6 of these to roll. Number 1 failed with a 8. Number 2 succeeds. Number 3 succeeds. Number 4 fails. Number 5 fails, and number 6 fails. The fireball. So I said number 1 succeeds.
Yep.
Do you remember if number 2 succeeded?
1
No?
and 3
Okay.
were successes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Were the rest of them failures, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Now they need to make a save for the powder keg. The DC's lower, but I still need to make that one. So here we go again. You ready?
Yeah.
That's a success. So number 1 succeeds. Number 2 succeeds. Number 3 succeeds. Number 4 fails. Number 5 succeeds, and number 6 fails.
So 4 and 6 fail.
Yep. All right. Moonin. Roll 7d6 since it's your powder keg. And how did my fireball hurt them? How did your
Fireball
hurt them?
is 10, 20, 38.
38. Jesus Cristo.
You said D6s, yeah?
Correct.
That's 10 20. 28 total.
28 for those that failed.
I have exactly 76 in my box of dice in front of me.
68 total.
Yeah, the problem is the ones that failed on one succeeded on the other one. How much damage was that again? Sorry.
28.
For the 28? Okay.
So 14
have that
to...
14.
So 4 and 6 take 28, the rest take 14.
Yep. All right, now I just need to do math again. Okay, cool, got it.
Well, this was once a nice passenger car. It is no longer.
This is their own fault. That's where I'm taking it.
They're the ones who put on the murder mittens.
Part of me's just
Well,
waiting
but
for
again,
Gez
kill the
to
bird.
like
Game off.
just waiting for Gez to start beating someone with these murder mittens. You gave them to me. I'm
Put
gonna
them
use
back
Get
on.
off.
He's like, let me
Puts them
just
back
slip on something for your safety.
That's
Okay.
how we're gonna kill the guy that took my spear again, because he's lost another one.
All right. So you cast Fireball, aiming not at them, but making sure that the epicenter of this thing goes off right where the powder keg is, right past them. Close enough. Actually, no, you didn't have to do that. You cast it past them, it explodes, and as soon as it explodes, there's another cacophonous. But this time, as the explosion wrecks, the whole front end of that car is blown open. You have nothing now but the Swiss Alps and open air whistling in through the front of this car as the train still continues to propel itself down the track. However, the other thing you hear along with shattering metal or shattering wood falling and splintering is the sound of metal twisting in its frame. The train bucks up and down, and as it does, it hits hard, and you hear the sound of metal rending. Your cart and the car in front of you is now, the front end of it is now hanging off of the rail and sliding forward. Your car is being twisted sideways as the car momentum behind you slams into it, twisting it further around. The engine continues to propel itself forward. The car in front of you still attached but dragging on the rails. You see sparks coming up out of it as you see sparks for a second as your car is twisted hard to the side. Everybody give me dexterity saving throws.
Actually, good.
10 plus 5, 15.
Okay.
19. 17 plus 2.
Emrys?
16 plus 7.
Okay,
23.
so you. All right, I need to roll for these guys because I feel like these guys, the way I've been rolling, they're about to be tumbling like crazy.
Thank you for the quick math.
I'm only
I,
good at
like-
math and D&D.
I like even was like, okay, 16 plus 7 is 23. Perfect. All right. And then I was like 16 plus 7, and my brain just went, what is that? Hurry, figure it out. And I was like, wait.
Emrys, or no, not
Yes.
Emrys, sorry. Moonin, you feel your feet leaving the ground, and you realize that the reason for this is the car is no longer upright, but is instead in slow motion. You watch it careen over on its side. You hear the sound of metal being twisted and splintered and broken apart as once more this car is now broken free from the coupling behind it. The car tumbles sidelong across the rail. There's a slam as the rest of the cars slam into this one, which is slowed down. It pushes it along the side, eating up the wood. You are thrown to the ground, as is most of the guys that are there. The rest of you are able to keep yourselves in your seats upright. But as the car slides to a stop, you are going to take some damage from the bumping around, even if you did remain up.
I'm okay. Let's go.
Meaning you are going to take 22 points of damage.
Woo!
Uh,
So
the rest of you are going to take 11.
So 12 points go through to my health.
A couple of the men that were there guarding you start to stand, but you can see that they're wounded. Their allies are laying there in crumpled heaps, their bodies positioned in weird shapes that they shouldn't be making. Their eyes staring lifelessly up somewhere, their rifles thrown somewhere off to the side. You check your own wounds as you look around. The car behind you, your car slowly comes to a stop as the rest of them are still kind of like pushing against it. Eventually, all of the momentum is taken out of the vehicles. The engine ahead of you, you hear the brakes being slammed on, the squeal of the tires of the wheels as they ease to a slow and eventually to a stop. No more soldiers seem to be getting up or moving towards you. Even the ones that are there seem to be looking at their friends and then looking at you all and putting their hands up, covering their wounds where they've been tossed and turned. You sit with either side sloping away to you. Actually, no. You sit on the rail, precariously positioned as only 10 feet out from the end of the car. So, like where the length of the car is sitting with one end of it, the end that has been blown apart, up against the mountain. The car is 30 feet long, and at the end of it, you can see the last 10 feet of it hang over a precipice, falling away down the Alpine slopes, down the Alps. Looking out over that, you can see as wind whistles through the car and the broken, smashed pieces. The engineer comes running up, looking to make sure that everybody's okay. He's out of breath, a man probably in his mid-50s. He starts speaking in a language that none of you understand, and then switches to German. Is everyone? Are there any survivors in here?
Yep. Those people that were around me that lived through the crashing would not have lived through the wolves.
They're all dead.
Because, yeah, he would have not have made them friendly just because they stopped attacking.
The ones that were around you, there were none in the back.
Okay, cool.
The ones in the back are all dead.
Just for giggles, I'm gonna roll Constitution to keep that visibility going.
Okay, give me a con save.
I have to beat what? It's a half, so 11.
Half or 10, whichever is higher.
Okay.
So you took 22, so you'd have to beat a DC 11.
Well, that's a 6 on the die plus 6 for 12.
That'll make it. So yeah, you're still invisible.
Do I need to roll to keep my wolves because they're there for 10 minutes?
Yeah. You need to make the con save. And it's going to be half the damage taken or 10, whichever is higher.
10. I rolled a 8, so it is an 11. So
Which
8 plus 3.
This is the engineer from the engine cart that's coming running up?
Correct. Yep, that is correct. And he is not wearing a uniform. He just seems to be like in a pair of coveralls. He immediately looks in at the wreckage and he's like, "Is anybody alive in there? Are you okay? Is anybody alive?" He sees these wolves like circling and he stops. God.
Sorry about that.
You have to quickly get out of the car. It might go over the side. please quickly. I'm going to check the other cars. And he kind of like skirts through the open mess and tries to like doesn't get close to the wolves. He sidles up next to the mountainside. Okay. And then he goes out of sight around to the.
Would using the sending stone count as something to break my invisibility?
Nope, because it is not casting a spell. It is using an item.
Okay. Going to reach out to Colm. Are you still on the carts with us? We had some trouble up front. That is all.
There is no answer.
Okay.
A few minutes pass, and the engineer is coming back up to the front, and he says, "The rest of the cars are empty. The cargo car seems to be intact, but I didn't check to see if the cargo inside was intact. Sealed and all that. But no other passengers on the cars. Looks like you're the lucky ones. You have to report this back as soon as possible. We will radio ahead. I'm going to have to uncouple the other car and take the engine forward." And he gets to work on trying to uncouple the first passenger car from his train or from his engine.
You didn't see us. Are we still going to Edinburgh?
Innsbruck.
Yes.
He kind of looks at the three of you still standing there, like a bit beaten up, or the two of you still standing there, a bit beaten up, but still hardier than like his old self. And he goes, "If that is where you would like to go, then we are going to Innsbruck."
Is that where you're heading to begin with?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Stations along the way. I would have to let him know that there was an accident with the train. There will be an inquiry, but as far as I'm concerned, let me radio ahead, and then the train was taken while I was not.
As he says that,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to shoot one of the survivors in garb.
Oh, okay. Wait, you just appear out of nowhere and shoot him?
Moonin materializes to the loud sound of gunfire.
You see the old man jump, and the sound of the shot just echoes off of the mountainside, just all around you. Like I said,
There will be no
I
radioing ahead that there was an issue.
understood, but this could cause problems for other trains that might try to come through here.
No sense in getting people that don't deserve to be hurt, Moonin.
Let this cart fall, reattach the rest, and move on.
I would love to do that. Unfortunately, and he points to the passenger car that's still attached to the engine, and it's off of the track. It has to be moved back onto the track.
I don't know about you, but I don't have the strength for that.
If you are going to radio in, leave us and the explosions out of it. There was something on the tracks, caused a problem.
Fine. And he starts heading towards the engine
Good
again.
man.
He you hear him like he leans out so you can see him, and he's got the radio like it's just a mic operated. In German, you hear him say, "There was an accident. Something fell, hit the track. I lost one car completely. Um, I've decoupled. I'm taking the engine to the station. The train remains on the track," and he gives a track number and like the coordinates of where he's at. And with that, he looks at the lot of you and says, "I take it that my train will be taken from me. Is that the case?"
No, you can have
I'm
your
not
train.
saying I'm taking it. I don't know how to drive a train.
Lucky for you, I do. So
You're not in any danger if that's what you're concerned of.
he looks at the bodies, especially the one that still got a little bit of smoke pouring out of a hole in it. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Yes, that is quite a bit dangerous, the three of you.
You're not against us, so you're fine.
All I want to do is drive a train and die of old age in my bed comfortably.
We want that for you too.
Marvelous. Then I suggest you all climb aboard the car, and we have a trip to Innsbruck to make. Yeah,
Hey.
it will go faster and cost us less fuel, not towing a bunch of cars behind us as well. So, all aboard.
Out of curiosity, does even the odds look any different than usual?
It's got like a carbon fiber finish almost to it, like a blackened look to it. But other than that, it doesn't look normal, unusual.
Okay. Just checking.
The finish looks a little different, but that's it. All right, you clamber onto the engine. There's not a whole lot of room. I mean, it's not like you're all shoulder to shoulder, but it's a pretty tight move. And with that, you see him sit up on this chair that's mounted there, and he throttles the train engine slowly forward. And as it starts to pick up speed, he increases the throttle, and eventually the train is moving at a pretty good clip. He radios ahead again to say that he has to bypass the station. He gives the coordinates once more to let them know where the train is at. Says nothing else, and then just continues on. He passes through one station, catching a side rail to it. He radios ahead again, and he is shouting in German, like, clear the car. We are not stopping through. We have to make it through here. When they start asking why, he says he gives them like a code, like just a kind of a code word. Um, it doesn't make any sense. Like even in German, it's a made up word. He looks at you all and says, "I'm not giving your position away. If I tell them, hey, I can't stop because I have 4 people in the car with me. Obviously, they will be hunted down. But if I give them a made up word, that takes them time to research what that might be. And by that time, we can bypass this. Look, you will shoot me before anybody gets a chance to stop you. I don't like the idea of being shot, so I'm going to drive the train as quickly as possible, yeah?
Insight.
Go for it.
Dirty 20. 12 plus 8.
This man has got one thing and one thing only that he's concerned about: staying whole and healthy.
I'm gonna buy this man a drink.
He has one concern: staying alive, and that's it.
I'm gonna offer him a cigarette from my last pack.
He takes it from you with shaky hands.
Strike the match for him.
He leans into the engine, and you guys are moving at a really good pace. Before long, you start to see the landscape fall away as you leave the mountains, heading downward into the plains. It's still hilly and mountainous, but it's not as mountainous. As you get to the other side, you start to notice that the landscape changes. It's kind of familiar. It looks like this kind of morass or like this blasted area. The landscape is deadened trees, blackened spots. It smells of swamp and just kind of like that boggy moss smell. As you continue on, he swallows and kind of keeps his eyes left and right as he's darting his eyes back and forth. You see that the rail ahead looks mostly unused, like it's newer track. It doesn't have that shiny. So as your trains move over it, the wheels rub on that and it causes it to be shiny on the edges. These don't really have that full shininess to them like you would expect to see on an older rail. He keeps the engine leaned in. He pulls back on the throttle just a little bit. He says, in case we have to stop, I would be going at a slower speed as opposed to a faster speed when something appear and we slam into it, going full force. As you guys continue to fly through this landscape just slinging by you, free blasted zones. You see fields that appear to have once been fertile are now blasted areas of dead grass. It's all browns and blacks and dark tans and things like that. You continue on. You're not sure how long has passed. It may have been an hour or two. And eventually he starts to pull back on the throttle more. We are nearly there. I'm sure you don't want me to stop in the station.
You can let us argue a little ways away. We can find our way.
He slows the train as you start to see up ahead of you a city, or the remnants thereof. He says that was Innsbruck. I was there, the day that the battle took place.
Gods have mercy on your soul then.
Well, we're not doing very good with that, considering that the predicament that I find myself in at the moment. But at least I'm not dead, yeah?
You won't get killed by us.
You watch as he kind of like takes this little drawer and he pulls it open and he opens like this. He reaches in, he grabs a flask out and takes a big pull, puts it on and says, "Not supposed to drink while I'm at work, but then again, I'm not supposed to drive a train for a bunch of fugitives." Here we are. He offers you the flask and says, "Keep it. Thank you for not shooting me." He looks at Munin. "For you?" He pulls the train to a slow, pulling hard on the brake lever as the train squeals to a slow. The city is 2 miles ahead. The ground here is blasted and useless. Please be very careful, though. There are things in these wilds that are not right. You understand?
Understood.
I wish you luck. And with
Use
that, he lets you guys dismount.
It was a
Releases the
pleasure
brake lever.
never meeting you.
And same to you as well. And may we never meet again. And he eases the lever and the throttle up and starts trekking on down the track. Your trek, following the tracks, it's pretty easy. You stay off of them just enough to where they stay to your right or left, depending on what side you want to get on. There is no forest here. It is open land. It's a little hilly, but it's just open. Grasses, old walls, like grasses crunch under feet, dead, long dead. As you continue to walk, you can see here and there the remnants of a battle that may have taken place in here. Shelled out. You can see the trenches dug for where battles taking place. The barbed wires blackened in places. Big holes left, craters left in the ground where mortars have fallen. And here and there, you see the remnants of soldiers, or at least what would have been soldiers. Now it's just tatters of clothes, an occasional tag, maybe a helmet left over. As you get closer and closer to the city, you start to notice that the ground is not as packed and hard. It's actually like softer. The air smells more fragrant, less bog, death, fire. As you get closer and closer, you start to see branches here and there, green and vibrant. Something you haven't heard for the last 2 months as you've been trekking this way. You start to hear signs of life. You crest a small rise, and in the distance, you can see the city of Innsbruck. It's not very big. The outer parts of it are completely uninhabited. The buildings there are still shelled out, the remnants of them looking like architectural skeletons. No roofs are here. There's a piece of one standing up, like some ancient monolith skeleton sitting out there. In the distance, towards what you suspect to be the center of the city, you see what appears to be 4 like pillars. From this distance, they're probably about, gauging out that distance, they're probably 20 to 30 feet tall, but they don't go straight up. They go out and curve back around, looking like giant talons coming out of this ground. Yep, 4 of them. Like, they're opposite of each other, correct. So they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, they're equal distance apart, correct. You can see them coming out of the ground. They look purplish like an old bruise. Brown and purple. Actually, not brown and purple. They look purple like a fresh bruise. You can see that they stand out. The edges of them, kind of a dark crystalline brown color fading into the purplish color. As you get closer, there seems to be a hum in the air. You get closer and closer as you finally breach the outer part of the city. The air around you gets heavy. Not like it's not a really tangible thing, like it doesn't take you more to breathe, but it just feels heavy, like the weight of something is pressing down upon you. A feeling of dread as you can see those things towering out of the ground. And ever present in the back of your mind is this hum, this low frequency resonance that's just kind of playing there constantly. As it's just sort of like this machinery that plays a cacophony that's a single note just constantly in your head. As you get
Fluorescent
closer,
lights.
yes, the hum of yellow fluorescent LED lights. As you get closer, you don't see a milieu of soldiers. You don't see a battalion. You're not sure where this military has gone. Maybe they're hiding somewhere else. How close do you want to get to this thing?
Yes.
I actually have a question, and I'm going to send it to you directly, Cap.
Okay.
I am going to look down at my pistol, realizing I'm still, like, grasping it heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys will see it fizzle from existence. And appearing in my hands instead is a large rifle with a scope.
Yep. You watch as this gun just sort of disappears, and then kind of this wet formation sound as this rifle appears with a high-powered scope attached to the top of it.
And I
You're
would
gonna
like
have to climb to the top of something so you can see better, because there are buildings in the way.
Do we have any trees around us?
There are a few of them, but they are probably still going to be obstructed by some of the other buildings. None of them that are tall enough to get you to the top of some of the buildings that are closer to the center of the town.
I have something to maybe help this. Spider climb.
Spider climb. Okay.
I have the spell, and I will slap it on Noonan.
Okay. Moonin, give me a perception check, please.
Not a great roll. That's a 8 on the die, plus 8, so 16.
16. You don't see any trees that are large enough to get you to where you need to see, but you do see a building that may have once been like a like a church people. That looks like it's still standing. At least most of it. It looks like the bell may have been dropped out of the center of it, and the top part of it collapsed in. But the tower itself, the steeple itself, is still there.
Does Emrys explain what
however-
the spell does?
It's one of those kind of like slap on him and I don't know, go climbing, I guess. Climb a tree.
You guys are going to have to move closer to the city center in order to get to that to see it. Not close enough that you can make out what's going on, but closer still than what you want.
Well, I guess I will start with looking down scope at the building in question to see if it is inhabited or there's people around.
There does not appear to be any people around it, and it does seem to be structurally sound.
Well, if you have something that will help me climb Emrys, I could take a better look from up there.
Yeah.
We just have to move in a bit closer.
All right.
Man, I love you guys. Okay.
Distance to the palm of your hand, correct?
You guys are heading across the city. I do need you to give me stealth checks.
Even with a 9 on the dice, I rolled a dirty 20.
You're just gross.
I love it.
I
I
mean that in
rolled
the best
a
way.
14 on the die for a 19 total.
Okay.
Inspiration. What does it do again?
Yes.
It's
basically you can roll advantage.
Sorry.
You roll advantage.
Okay. Because I had disadvantage.
Mm. So basically, you have a flat roll.
It's not better. It's not. I am not a quiet boy.
with luck.
What'd you
Can
have?
you pick which one you take, or is it you take the second one?
I re-rolled it.
What did you have, Emrys?
30-20.
And Moonin?
14 plus 5, so 19.
Okay. What'd you have there, Desh? Sorry, FNC. What was that?
5.
5. Okay.
Is this building in the limits of the town?
Yes.
Okay.
One moment. Okay. The average between the three of you is a 15. So you're able to quietly get across to where you need to go to get to that building. Whereupon you clamber up the side.
If I'm given spider climb, I guess it's more walk up the side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Walk up the side. All right, as you get up the side of this thing. Sorry, hang on a second.
Feel like I'm in an anime at that point and walk up to the wall, put my foot up it, and just start going up.
Yep, pretty much.
You're welcome.
Spider-Man.
What can I say?
Whatever a spider can.
Give the guy with guns spider climb. Profit.
Deadpool would be so proud.
Sorry, give me just one second. No, it's not that.
Walking into town, I probably would have looked to Emrys, and a change of face might be a good idea, assuming that Napier was to be removed.
That's true.
Just
Trying to
before we
think.
possibly interact with anybody.
Trying to think who else. I mean, either way, I don't think it matters if all three of us are going to be staying close together.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go back to mine.
Okay. As you get closer into it, you climb up or walk up the side of this thing. As you get to the top of it, you can see now the structures that you were seeing. All around them, set up in tents and things on the ground, you can start to see what appears to be the battalion. Every once in a while that hum is going on, you watch as in the center of this thing, several of the soldiers start walking through, and they just sort of disappear. This portal that's in the middle of this thing, they sort of walk in through it and disappear. And as they do, there's a pulse from each base of these 4 pillars. Another group has walked through there. Then they continue this way. You watch, and then eventually you see a couple of men at the base, like standing just outside. They hold their hand up. They say a few words to everybody, and everybody disperses and goes back to the tents. Except for some of the tents are torn down and put up, rolled up, put back into place. It looks like whatever it is they're doing, they're done for the day. You watch as campfires and things like that are put up, and people start to get ready for the evening. Sure enough, the sun overhead, which has been behind these kind of grayish thin clouds, is almost down for the night.
Just a weird question.
Mm-hmm.
How does night vision work when looking through a scope?
I mean, you still. That's a good question.
Because
I'm going
it
to
brings
say
up
that
some
it does
weird
not.
ideas.
It does not work past that because while it does amplify your vision, your dark vision only extends out to a certain range. So basically, once you get to that range in your scope, it just doesn't work.
Okay. Nope, that's just a weird question figured I'd ask.
As you guys watch through the night, does the rest of you want to try to get up to the top of the steeple where he's at?
I mean, I don't.
I would have hollered down to Emrys asking how long this spell is active
Up
for.
to an hour.
Yeah, you're not getting down the same way you came up.
No.
All right. As you start to try to make your way down, it is now full on dark, and you watch as from the tips of the 4 points of these pillars that are there, and all of you can see this from the ground, 4 balls of light form at the tips of each one of these things, and you watch as they start to spark like energy across the 4 of them, as like it woven back and forth so that all of them are connected. So that it's got this like cross pattern in the square.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts to like drift downward, expanding as it hits the pillars and all the way to the base, and then it goes all the way back up again. And it starts to increase in speed and energy. As it does, you can start to feel that foam is in your teeth now. It's set in your jaws. It feels like it's vibrating into your bones. You can't even imagine what it feels like to those soldiers that are right up against it. As it does, as quickly as it started, and the hum is now in your head and it's rattling in your brain, and you've got your teeth gritted against the very feeling of it as it just vibrates your very core. And all of a sudden, it just stops. And you look out. And at first, your eyes have to adjust to the brightness of that light that was moving up and down. You blink away the remaining images that are there. And as you do, you see something standing in the midst of that. Some eldritch horror, something that is unknown to you. This huge thing stands there. It bellows with one head before turning the second one and bellowing again in the sky. Its arms end in tentacles as this huge creature. No. This enormous beast from your nightmares screams out against the night sky. Moonin, in your head and almost simultaneously in Emerald's,
Oh.
you hear your independent voices. And Mercy, your head goes, Demogorgon. Moonin, in yours, it's more gleeful. Demogorgon. And that's where we're going to call this episode of The Troubleshooters.
Ah!
This is the season finale. Back in a month with the next season. Once we're done with this, we will be starting up Wild Beyond Witchlight. I will be posting up requests to see people auditioning soon. So keep that in mind. It'll probably be the next couple of weeks. Join us on Discord if you want to play on Monday nights with us. We will not be doing it episodic. It will be week in and week out. So there will probably be breaks where I will have to take time off because I'm a human being. But it will be week in and week out while beyond the Witchlight. Yep, that was the season finale, Decca.
Illegal
That
cliffhanger.
was episode 12. Yep. Cliffhanger with the Demogorgon. That being said, I would like to. Congratulations, you almost are right. I would like to thank Moonin, played by Otter, and Gej, played by Voodoo, as well as Emrys, who was played by Q. You guys, your hard work was much appreciated. And now you know what that third thing was on the list. The third thing that was question marks on the list of things to do. Congratulations, you wrecked a train. You got to Innsbruck, where no magic should work, and only to be seeing some kind of
Number 3 on the list of things to accomplish for the night: wear brown pants.
Wear the brown pants. Thank you, everybody, to everybody out there who was watching this evening. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in and tuning in every week. Don't worry, we still have more shows. We have Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights and Thursday nights and Sunday nights, and we will be taking a little bit of a break. We will be back with the final season of the Troubleshooters. App has to do season finale love. It sounds weird. Well, I will give love and appreciation to all of my players. I'm going to start with Voodoo. Voodoo, thank you for bringing the awesomeness that is Gej. We almost made foot soup and helping me be extra method as I held my leg up the entire time last week. And didn't realize it until afterwards, and I was like, I held my leg up the entire time. Thank you for bringing so much fun in your character and everything you do. Otter, thank you for all of the work that you do as Moonin, but more importantly, all the work you do behind the scenes to make everything. Since having you come on board and join me, you have really upped our level to like a professional grade, and I really appreciate it. You work hard, and I think the only time that you've ever missed is because you were just absolutely sick, couldn't do it. You are hands down just. I appreciate all of you guys, but like I said, the work that you do for me behind the scenes is just phenomenal. I can't thank you enough. Q, thank you for bringing Emrys. I think some of our most fun moments have been Gej and Emrys, or Emrys, or Liss and Emrys, or Moonin and Emrys. Emrys on their own.
All of them have
But also-
Emrys.
Yes, all of them have Emrys moments in them. Thank you for bringing that hilarity and awkwardness level that you do. Also, thank you for running our cameras week in and week out. We really appreciate all of that and just kind of keeping us on track as far as like where we're at. You have been playing. You've played with me in so many games now, from making you a nervous boy in Alone in the Void,
Yeah.
Alone in the Void, to ruining your card slinger.
Yep.
When I realized you were overpowered, so I'm just going to take you over and make you kill your party. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys and love all of you. Thank you so
Well, I
much.
don't plan on stopping anytime soon, so get ready for that.
Yeah, excellent. We just need to get you running rooms.
I still vote for a wet pants emoji.
Like, yes, need that.
I need somebody that makes emojis do that.
We can find some.
Do it. All right. I've got to bounce. Thank you, everybody, for those watching, for those playing. We really appreciate you guys. Tune in tomorrow night. Star Wars is amazing. Have a
And
great
stay
night.
tuned
We'll see
on
you
the
guys.
stream. We'll be rating
Yes.
as soon as the song ends.
Yes, stay tuned. We'll be rating. Thank you all. We'll see you in about a month.
Have you ever fought a dragon and stormed its mountain lair? Have you ever killed a vampire and seen the evil in its lair? Have you ever sought adventure and couldn't find it anywhere? Well, here's the answer to your call. We are the Victory Company. Come leave behind all your cares. Victory Company. Come with me and see what's out there. If you wanna be a hero or a demon in disguise, if you wanna steal a spaceship and sail across the endless skies, if you wanna live a story and you're down to have some fun, come on and join the Dire Bears. There's a game for everyone. Victory Company. Come leave behind all your cares. Victory Company. Come with me and see what's out there.